Hello guys, welcome back. It's Graham here. Episode 9, Living Through Cancer as a stay-at-home dad. I've just gone through the last episode or the last couple of episodes and just recapped on what I've been talking about. And there's so many things that have, become quite vivid in my mind of that time last year. And that time last year was madness in so many effects, it had. And I'm going to talk about the mental state quickly, because the doubts that I had was not just about my physical health, it was about my mental health and giving up everything that I'd worked for. And I'm talking on a professional stance, my work and my community within that workplace had suddenly gone AWOL. And that was because I didn't have the strength, or I didn't have the ability or the confidence to tune back into that, or even get back in. And once you come out and you go through a process of, realization of cancer and all these things, you default back to wanting to be the person you were before you actually even had it. I remember I told you the story about when we moved country, we came back here and re-established our lives and started up a whole new, life cycle. Had Morgan, and went through the whole process of raising Morgan to an age where he was, a little bit more independent. The work had been put on the back burners for a few years, purely because I did not have the strength or the enthusiasm or the get up and drive to even pursue it. We were lucky, we were in a position where my wife went back to work and I experienced the whole stay-at-home dad, which was a fantastic experience and learning curve for me. I thoroughly enjoy what I do with my life, my current life. Put the cancer to one side, my life is fantastic, because I contribute to Morgan on a day-to-day basis, where I've never had that opportunity with Jacob. I was working away a lot. So although that was happening and I was enjoying it, and I had the cancer become part of my life on a day-to-day basis, there was a fine balance, absolute fine balance with regards to the mental health. Your physical health, you can see, what the testosterone blockers were doing to me, and this is a conversation I'm going to go on to in a minute, but I don't want to go into too much of that, but it was becoming very apparent I was changing. My physical state was changing. The energy levels were dropping. The enthusiasm was dropping again. But we managed to combat that to a point where me and the wife, we made a bit of a pact a few months back and said, this is the structure of our family. We will always maintain that structure. We will have to always ensure that our children come first. They are happy, they are content, and they have stability in the household, because we respond in all different ways. If one drops down, the other one picks that person up. That's how me and my wife have always operated. If one's down, I'll pick her up and bring her up. If I'm down, she'll bring me up. But if the two drop down, that's where it affects the children, and you can't do that. You have to hide it. You have to, compensate for anything that makes you feel like, I don't want to get up today. I'm just going to lounge around. I'm going to sit in my softies and, dwell on what I have as a disease. And that's not me. Never has been, and that's not my wife. So we made it very clear to each other that, we have Morgan on a day-to-day basis. We have to still educate him. We still have to teach him the ways of the world. We have to feed him. We have to clothe him. We have to do everything that an active, vibrant family should be doing. Never mind me being, stamped with cancer, But that's how we operate. My wife, she goes through her ups and downs, and I bring her up and make sure that she's still, the person she's always been to me, and vice versa. So let's get on to that next conversation after I'd sat and gone through these beautiful high definition pictures of my prostate and what was happening to it. So after the conversation, my wife and I, we sat there and, wow, that's interesting. That's, had a few questions, and it went backwards and forwards, and this is what we're going to do. And the doctor frantically asked for these testosterone blockers to be brought up, and told me about the medication and what they do and the side effects, so on and so forth. And then she said, which struck a chord, we will put you in the Macmillan process. Now, I didn't know what Macmillan was. I know obviously it was a cancer organisation, and a very, well deserved as in what they do. But me going into the Macmillan process, and yep, you'll be looked after through that process. And she said to me, don't worry, you're not going to die, because everyone thinks once you go into that Macmillan process, it's end of life. You're going through your end of life process. She said, don't worry, it's not end of life. I thought, oh, that's good, because I do recall saying to her, well, how long have I got, Doc? How long do I have? Because I wanted those answers, that helps me process things. And I'm sure that happens to a lot of people. They want to know, and they want to be reassured that, you haven't come to the end of life yet. Don't worry, So that struck a chord. We'll put you in the hands of Macmillan, and they're going to process you through their system as well. The next stage was to go downstairs and have this conversation. Oh no, we stayed in that office, and she said, I'm going to bring you, she's going to introduce me to one of the Macmillan cancer specialists, they're called. And they deal with they take on your case, and they deal with any questions. They guide you through all the processes which are going to up and coming for me. And it was a jarring conversation. This guy knew what he was talking about and introduced himself, sat down, and it's like he put a box of tissues on the table. And I thought, hang on a minute, what's going on here? Because once you take in that information of what has been told you, it suddenly dawns on you, yeah, you've got cancer, you've got this, you've got that. And we're not sure if it's 4 yet. It could be. All that started to trickle down. My wife had now realised that, yeah, it's there, it's landed. Yeah. And they're obviously prepared for people's different reactions. And both myself and my wife, we didn't have a reaction, because we'd already started dealing with all this weeks before, we'd actually planned for the worst and hoped for the best. So the latter was shining through on us. It was a bizarre conversation, and he kept on touching very raw, parts of this process. Well, the blockers, you realise you're not going to have, your sex life is going to go. Can you deal with that? Can you cope with that? He was saying. He was telling us stuff, or he's giving us information that was, in some ways, bringing it right home to us and putting it in our face, and waiting for that reaction, waiting for this to, pour out of us, but nothing. We were prepared and we understood, and credit to me and my wife, we stood fast. We were not going to show an outpouring of emotion. If we ever do that, we'll do that at home in our, in the privacy of our home. But anyway, guys, anyone who's watching this, a big thank you for sharing. And if you like it, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. It's a story I enjoy telling, and I hope you're getting something from it. I'll see you next time, and bye for now.